Good evening. So we're going to get started in just a little bit. We're just waiting for some people to join and get logged in. As we go through this presentation, if you have questions, please feel free to use the Q&A, and then we will try to get to your questions during the presentation. Good evening. We're just waiting a few more minutes till a few more people join in, and then we'll just start an introduction to what to expect in mathematics in high school. We're just looking at the numbers to see if they're still increasing to give people a chance to get logged in. Since this is the first presentation, it might take a little bit longer. All right, good evening. My name is Esmeralda Fernandez. I'm the secondary numeracy coach. And with me here tonight also is Patricia Clark. And she is at a learning hub at Woodruff High School. And she's also a numeracy coach with Program and Learning Innovations. So we're just going to run through the mathematics program in high school. And as I stated, if you have any questions during the presentation, please don't hesitate to put your questions into the Q&A, and we will try to answer them as best we can. So the first thing you might be wondering about is the curriculum and where you might find it. So the curriculum is a legal document that teachers are to follow as they plan their programming for any course in our secondary and elementary schools. The curriculum for grade 9 can be found by just on Google, look up mathematics curriculum grade 9, and you will find the Ontario document. In it, it has expectations by strand, the processes, the curriculum context, introduction, and then it does go by strands. And in grade 9, the strands are aligned with the 7-8 curriculum, so it has the same strand names with just slight variations, and it is a continuation of learning in the continuum from K to 8. So we will put that link in the chat, and then that way you can open it up and then save it in your bookmarks if you wanted to look at it later. So we will have that link, and we will also have a link to the 7, 8, 9 continuum, where it's called the alignment chart, to just see how the topics increase from grade 7 to grade 8, and then the modifications into grade 9. So we're trying to create a continuum so that students feel like learning is just a journey that goes from one grade and then builds on into the next one, but it also gives teachers a way of connecting to the learning that the students are bringing to the grade 9 course. You will also find that all courses in high school have a code associated with them. So all the math courses will start with an M, and then the codes do change, but if it starts with an M, it's a math course. Then it has a number tied to a letter, and the number 1 means that it is grade 9, the number 2 is grade 10, 3 grade 11, and 4 is grade 12. The last letter gives an indication of the type of course it is. So the math course for grade 9 is a new curriculum, and it has a designation of W, which means that everyone is included in that classroom. This would be the math pathways chart. So everyone is taking the grade 9, then going into grade 10, and then in grade 10, they will have choices. So you'll see that in the third column, all of the course codes have a 3 in them. And then on the last column, which spans into one extra course, they all have a 4 because that would be grade 12 courses. The grade 9 course is, as I said, it is a continuation of the 7-8 curriculum. The strands are pretty much identical. We do try and emphasize the processes of mathematics, which goes through all of the curriculum in math. And we have also, we're starting to also look at the emotional learning that goes on. So we do try to, there is a strand that's called social emotional learning, and that is something that we take into consideration to try to meet students where they're at and to try to also engage them in math in a slightly different way so that they can feel that they have a role in the classroom and they have a place in it. The grade 10 course then follows. So after the grade 9, they go into grade 10, and that one has the code MPM 2D. So the grade 10 math, everyone's in the grade 10 math, and then they have to make choices after grade 10. So the idea with having a grade, a pretty open grade 9 and grade 10 math courses, it's so that at the end of grade 10, they've all had a similar experience. And then it really is about making choices in terms of the pathways that they want to follow. You will note at the bottom, we do have some specially developed and locally developed math courses, and those vary place to place and based on needs. So those are very specialized courses. So the majority of students are taking the grade 9 math and the grade 10 math, and then they choose based on what they want to pursue in the future. So that is the overall aim of grade 9 and 10 mathematics, is to try to give students choice and a background that allows for those choices in grade 11 and 12. So again, the chart would follow if you wanted to look at the codes. The U means that those are university level courses. The M would be a mixed, which means you'll notice that the arrows go into a university course and a college course. And the C would be a college-based course, and the essentials would be a workplace program. So it doesn't mean that if you took 3U, you can't take MCT 4C, but these would be the most direct paths. Of course, from the MHF 4U, which is advanced functions, you need to take that at the same time or previous to the calculus and vectors. So that would be, the pathway would be for a heavy math-based program at a university. These are just some questions that you might see that might be a bit different than what you might have experienced when you went to high school. And these are taken from the curriculum documents. So if you do go and peruse through the curriculum documents, it will have prompts for teachers. It will have sample tasks. So at least then you can help your student or your child as they go through the course. And those are the legal documents that teachers are to refer to and to guide their teaching. So the idea is some kind of accessibility for students. And we can also extend so that if you're trying to meet the needs of a variety of learners, then you want to make sure that they all have a starting point and that they can take that knowledge and extend it into bigger things. So the way tasks are designed should be a little bit different than just the rote and memorization types of questions. So I'll take up any questions that you might have from the Q&A maybe.
So someone was just saying they're having difficulty with the audio.
Oh. So we did test before. So is that just an individual person or is that a general problem with the audio? Because it would be good for us to know so that if we have, because we have another set of presentations to make. And it would be good to know so that we can get it fixed.
Yeah, other people's fine.
Okay, so it might be an individual problem. So, but if not, then we would like to get it fixed, of course. So there are some links in the chat And so if those are links you're interested in and having a look at, then I would suggest you click on them and then just maybe save your tab and bookmark it so that you can look at it later on and have an easy access. Any other questions that?
How many math credits?
So every student in high school has to have the minimum of 3 math credits in order to get their diploma for graduation. So those math credits can be any combination, 9, 10, 11, and they can be college level, it could be essentials. But they do need a minimum of 3.
Is the grade 9 math significantly harder than grade 8 maths?
So I think that so that's why I wanted you to have the 7, 8, 9 alignment chart, so that you can look at what the curriculum has. Whatever happens at individual sites, right, might vary, but in terms of the curriculum itself, it really is a very nice continuum from 7, 8, 9. So it's hard to say localized how it's being done, but knowing that the curriculum is a legal document, then it should be just a continuation of it.
Links don't work in the chat.
Oh, the links aren't working? So
Not
try
in the
them
chat.
again.
So I'm doing them, I guess they're not coming through on the chat. So
Oh,
I'm
because
putting
they
them in
can't
the
get
Q&A, so I don't
Okay,
know.
we're
if
gonna
this
put
is
the links then in the Q&A, and then if you could let us know whether you got them or not. This is our first presentation, so of
Mhm.
course we'll have to troubleshoot. And there is a raised hand. But I don't know if because we're not running this, like the tech is done behind the scenes. So if you could put the question in the Q&A, I'm not sure that they'll allow.
Yeah, it's
video.
just through the Q&A.
Yeah, so it has to be through the Q&A.
So there's another question. Many of my peers are seeking tutors for their high school age children. It seems there might be a divide for some students from intermediate to high school. What tangible things can we do to help our child prepare for high school level math?
So again, I would say that if you have access to the curriculum, which hopefully the link will work in the chat, I would say that if a grade 9 teacher is doing things that are really outside of the curriculum, because they might still be doing the old grade 9 academic, which is not what it's supposed to happen, then that would be something that conversations could be had, right? But in terms of what they are supposed to be doing, it is from the curriculum. If you also know that your child is having a lot of difficulty with the 7 and 8, then the support can start at home, through math games, math puzzles. So the usual support that we would have for, reading intervention, it would be the same thing with math, problem solving practices. And that's why I say that the curriculum documents right now, the new curriculum is pretty extensive in terms of tasks and in terms of activities that you can look for. And then they could be at least better prepared in terms of knowing what to expect. So I hope that helps a little bit. Did they work now? The links?
So now I'm curious if some people got them and some people didn't.
From the chat?
From the Q&A. So
yeah, the Q&A. I mean.
So
can't. So it seems like some people have received the or were able to open up the links, but really if you Google, just go to Google and put in, as I showed on the first slide. Oops, here. So I just Googled mathematics curriculum grade 9. That'll take you to the curriculum. Then if you want the 7, 8, 9 alignment chart, you can also just go to Google, put in the grade 7, 8, 9 alignment chart for the Ministry of Ontario mathematics curriculum. So in the mathematics curriculum, you will see all sorts of resources. One of them is the alignment chart.
There is a question about types of programs or what types of programs or advanced functions key for in university?
Anything that requires mathematics. So for example, any engineering program, any computer science program, any heavy science program, meaning chemistry, physics. So any of those programs that require first year calculus, you would have advanced functions and the calculus and vectors for it. Okay, so we're going to have a 5-minute break, and that'll allow you to go to your next session. Thank you for putting up with some of the tech issues, and I hope you have a good evening. Hello, I'm Esmeralda Fernandez, and we're just going to get started in just a few minutes. We're going to be talking about high school. Math in high school, I should say. All right, so we're just waiting for a few more participants, and then we'll get started. Good evening. We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. We see the numbers that are going up in participants, so we just want to make sure people get a chance to join in. Okay, we're going to get started. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. So I'm Esmeralda Fernandez. I'm the secondary numeracy coach, and I am here with Patricia Clark, who is, she is a Learning Hub teacher at Woodruff High School and also in program and learning as a coach. So we're just going to run through mathematics and what to expect in high school in the math program. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A and we will try to get to them. And if there's any special links, we will share them with you in the chat. If you are having problems with hearing, with audio, or with accessing the links, please make sure you drop a note in the Q&A so that we can address those issues. Thank you. So if you wanted to look at the grade 9 curriculum, so the curriculum is an official document. It is legal. It is what the province has deemed as the structure for the courses that we teach. Then all you have to do is go to Google, put in mathematics curriculum grade 9, and it will take you to the grade 9 mathematics curriculum. If you want a different grade, you just change the grade. Once you're there, you have access to all sorts of resources that you can navigate from that page. So we will put that link on the chat, and just know that you can access it anytime. So I would suggest that at the end of the presentation, if those are links that you're interested in perusing when you have a bit more time, then maybe just open them up and save them on your bookmarks, and then you can access them later.
Someone's having difficulty hearing.
Okay.
Does anybody else having?
Is anyone else having difficulty hearing? Because I hear from one person that they're having problems hearing. Everything's okay then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes it's connection at home, so we just want to make sure that it's not from our end. When you look at the courses in high school, you will find that they have codes. And so just to help you navigate the codes, all math courses start with an M. Then the other two letters will change depending on which course it is, but they do start with an M. You will see a number, all is associated with the course. So if the number is a 1, that means it's grade 9, 2 would be grade 10, 3 would be grade 11, and 4 would be grade 12. The math grade 9 program has a new curriculum, and that W denotes that it is an inclusive curriculum for everyone to take, and it has a W. So they will also be different depending on the pathways that they are in. This would be the math pathways in high school. So we will go into a little bit more detail about what to expect. But the idea is that everyone takes grade 9 and 10 math, and then after grade 10, there are options for students depending on what they want to pursue after high school. So the grade 9 math program is based on the continuum of learning from elementary. So if you look at the strands from K to 8, they are almost identical to the strands that the grade 9 program has. So we will also put on the chat the 7, 8, 9 learning continuum, and it's really called an alignment chart to show you how the topics align, so that if you're looking at particular topics, you can see what is increased in terms of understanding conceptual increase by each grade. And so you can see how they all link together. So the idea is to try and meet students where they're at. So for one, the students then have a learning continuum that they're following, so things are familiar. And also for teachers, they can go into the learning continuum to figure out where the students are at, and then maybe start there to get them caught up. So if you do have questions, I don't think any of the features are working except for the Q&A. So if you could please put the questions in the Q&A, then we will try to answer them. Thank you. So after the grade 9, they'll go into grade 10. And the idea behind everyone taking the grade 9 and 10 is to give them choice. So they all have the same learning experiences. And then once they reach grade 10, they're a little bit older, they can actually choose which math program they need to go into based on what their future studies might involve. So once they get into grade 10, they have the choices of the MCR 3U, which is the university level math. So anything with a U means that it is accepted as one of the credits for entrance into university. You have the MCF 3M, which is a university college math. And the reason that that can go both ways, it really depends on what they want to take in university. So the 3M allows them to enter into the data management course, which if they are going into some university programs where they don't have to take calculus or vectors, then they can still use that as an entrance course for university. There is the MCT 4C, which is a college technology math, and that would come from the 3M as well. And then 3C, which is purely college level math, would go into the MAP 4C, which is another math course. And then there is the workplace math, which allows students to obtain 3 to 4 credits of math, and they need a minimum of 3 for graduation. Here's just some questions that come from the curriculum documents of the types of questions that allow access to students and then extension so that we can actually teach to a variety of learners that enter into our grade 9 program. So the idea of leaving things open allows them to try different numbers to make expressions true. And the idea that there are lots of possibilities means that there's an entry point for all students, and calculators, of course, would be allowed. And then the second one is the idea of patterning. And so if you look at patterning, it's very important in mathematics to make connections and to see changes that happen from one stage to another. And that can lead into all sorts of algebraic properties, but also for graphing and for relations, linear relations and quadratics. Well, quadratics not so much in grade 9, but definitely in grade 10. Okay, so there's lots of tasks and prompts that you can look through the curriculum documents. They're quite extensive, and it could give you a pretty good idea of what you might be expecting in the course as well. So for the last little bit, we'll just look at any questions that we have in the Q&A and try to address them. So right now, there is no plan to reintroduce streaming for math. There was a question, is there a plan to reintroduce streaming for math? And right now, there is not. Any other questions? No. Could you let us know if you are able to access the links in the chat so that we know that you have access to them? There was problems in the last one, so we just want to make sure that people can access them. All good? Yeah. So if there's any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Oh. So there was a question about how do teachers teach to both the applied level, so G level is really the applied, and the advanced students at the same time. So as you can see with these two problems that we have here, so I've taught the grade 9 course over 6 times, and we did have a variety of learners for sure. And it really is about making sure that you are teaching from a conceptual lens and that you create enough of a base to build on. So we do have a lot more manipulatives, which allow students to visualize the mathematics in different ways. We do have, so if you look at those two problems, those are just two examples, there's many more in the curriculum documents. The idea is to try to create an entrance for everyone to participate in and to actually increase their math learning, right? So we just want to move them along in whatever they bring to the classroom. And it might mean that we might have small group instruction sometimes. We definitely have a lot of different practices that we try and incorporate into our pedagogy. So it is about creating access points for everyone to move their learning forward. And if something is easy, there should be something to challenge them as well. So as you can see with those two examples, you can do a lot with them for different learners. And that's the idea, is to always move the learning forward for everyone.
Resources for parents who are trying to help their children.
Yeah, so in terms of resources, this is why I wanted to make sure that you did have the links to the curriculum. So I would start there because those are the official documents. They are legal documents, and they do actually have a lot of tasks. So samples of tasks, sample questions, and it certainly can inform the parents as to what is expected in that course. And then you also get to know what the course is about, right? So if you find that your child is doing something that isn't anywhere in the course, then that might be a conversation that you have with the teacher, right? Just in terms of what is the goal, right? But it does inform quite well. And it does have extensive information that you can reach. And then if there are areas that you already know your child's struggling in grade 7 and 8, then that's something that you can start addressing. So there's lots of math-based games, puzzles, all sorts of things that get them thinking in a way that they start to enjoy the process of problem solving. And that's what we want to try, right? Happy students make better students. So if they enjoy the process, and that can start at home, right? We don't want, like, it's hard if parents find math difficult to not, pass that negativity on. So it'd be better to have, family building activities that that are fun, and have the students come in with a good attitude towards problem solving. Good attitude meaning that they know that it can be fun, that it can be, challenges can be embraced. So I would start at the curriculum documents for sure.
So that might to, do you recommend any online resources for students to use over the summer to prepare?
So in terms of online resources, I would again say start with the curriculum documents, and then you can narrow down where they seem to be struggling more. And I'm not saying to do the grade 9 course ahead of time, but you would know from grade 8, grade 7, where they might have had difficulties. And there's lots of blogs with lots of games. There's lots of things that you can definitely look up. But, if it's just like a whole book of worksheets, it might not make math that much fun. So it really should be what, the student enjoys doing, and then try to work around it. But I would first find out where they're struggling, and then try to build some supports around that.
Is there time in class for working on various math problems, or is it mostly instructional with the expectation that they do work outside of class?
So I know from my own grade 9 math classes, I didn't give a lot of homework, which meant that during class, there was a lot of activities. There was a lot of problem solving. There was a lot of group work. There was a lot of manipulatives, right, to try and visualize the math. But of course, every site's going to be different. Even within the same site, there might vary. So, so it's hard to give an answer, like one answer to that, because it would be really very much teacher dependent as to how they interpret it. But I know for me, if they really put in the 75 minutes in class, they would have very little to do at home. If they wanted some things to do at home, there were always options, but it wasn't something that I made mandatory. And then it did encourage them to really work and use the time in class appropriately for learning. So that'll be site by site based. Any other questions?
Just any particular game site or blog you would recommend?
There are, yeah, so we're almost at it. We're pretty much out of time, but there are a lot of, like if you look up, what would you recommend? Like there's lots of activities that we use for introduction to ideas. So like there's visual patterns that is called visual patterns. That is a blog. There's which one doesn't belong. It's actually a lot of things that they use in elementary to bring up math conversations. And math conversations feel a lot safer than math calculations. So if they have done something in elementary school that they really liked, chances are there's going to be either the same site or something similar in high school. So it's hard to narrow it down, and it really depends on what the student likes to do.
So just one final question is, how do we know where our child is at if everything is done in class?
So they will have like usually, so in my, I can speak to my class, we had Google Classroom that the parents had access to. So they would know what we were doing in class. If they had assignments, then they would be getting them back. If we had any kind of assessment, they'd be getting it back. And if they keep their their evidence record with all of the pieces that they're using for assessment live, like I always had my students see it at any time. And so there was never any doubt. And I would email them as well to the students so the parents knew that it was being emailed, because the email from our site just goes directly to students. So usually it would be some kind of notification that their child got the evidence record and they can look at it. So it should be pretty transparent as to how your child is doing. And if not, you can ask. Okay. So thank you for participating. And there'll be a break just to go to the next session and for us to start a new one again. So have a good evening. Hi, welcome to the mathematics portion of All About High School. We're just going to wait and see if there's a few more participants to join us, and then we will get started. So I see some more people coming in, so we'll just wait another minute or so to get started. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and if you people join, then they're welcome when they show up. I'm Esmeralda Fernandez. I'm the secondary numeracy coach with Program Learning Innovations, and I'm joined by Patricia Clark, who is a Learning Hub teacher at Woodruff High School in math, and also a coach with Program and Learning Innovations. So we're going to be looking at mathematics in high school and what you could be expecting if your child's going into high school. The first thing that you might want to have a look at is the curriculum. So the curriculum is a legal document that informs the content and instructional decisions made in the classroom. And if you just wanted to quickly Google it, you go to Google, mathematics curriculum grade 9, it'll take you to the grade 9 math. In there, you have a whole bunch of resources. You have the strands, you have actual prompts for teachers so that you know the kind of learning that your child will be doing. And Trish has put that in the chat. So if you're having problems either with audio or with accessing those links in the chat, please let us know. So the idea of putting a few links in the chat is that you can bookmark them, because I know you're going to be inundated with a lot of information today. And so then that way you can create your own bookmark to peruse when you have a bit more time. So the first one will be for the curriculum. Every high school course has a course code. All the math courses start with an M, and then it does change after that. The number in front of the last letter denotes the grade that the course is associated with. So if there's a 1, it's grade 9, 2 is grade 10, 3, 11, and 4 is 12. The W for the math, MTH1W, it's just a new course, and that means that everyone takes it. So it's just a continuation of 7, 8, and then the 9. And we will put on the chat as well the alignment chart for grade 7, 8, and 9, so that you can see the continuation of learning. So for students, there is a continuation of what they were learning in elementary school. The strand names are virtually identical. There's just a tiny little change, but the topics are definitely aligned, and you'll see that in that chart. And it also helps teachers who are teaching the grade 9 to know where they might have to go back to fill in some gaps if students have them. So it really is a continuation, and the alignment chart is a good place to go if you just want to see how the progression of learning continues into grade 9. The mathematics pathway looks like a complicated chart, but we'll go into a little bit more detail. But this gives you the journey of math courses in high school. So everyone takes the grade 9 course, then everyone takes the grade 10 course, and then after grade 10, there are choices. So the idea behind, so in the grade 9, we have that continuation of learning from the alignment chart 7, 8, 9. We also have a section or strand that is the socio-emotional learning, which means we do have to think about the learner as an individual and how they interact with the math. So there are the processes that we have in building mathematical thinking, problem solving, communication. So all of that is embedded, and it really does continue from the 7 and 8 program. After the grade 9, they go into the grade 10, and the grade 10 continues with looking at the learning from grade 9, but it does look a little bit different because that is not a new curriculum, and it investigates relations in a different way. And then after the grade 10, they get to choose from, so the aim of grade 9 and 10 is that all students have the same base, and then they get to make the same choice depending on what they want to study in the future and what careers they are interested in. So at that point, they're a little bit older, and they can then make choices for the programming for grade 11 and 12. So if we look at the chart again, you'll see that all the grade 11 courses, which have the 3 in it, will lead to different courses in the grade 12, which has the 4. If it has a U attached to it, then that would be a university level course, meaning that for the MCR3U, the MHF4U, and the MCV4U, that would be a very heavy math load at university. The 3M, which is a university college grade 11 course, can also lead into the university data management course and also the technology math course in grade 12. And then the 3C goes into 4C, that's a college level course. And then the 3E and the 4E are the workplace math courses that will still allow students to reach, to obtain a minimum of 3 math courses they need to graduate. So here's just some samples of the questions that you might find in the curriculum documents for grade 9. So it's just the idea of providing entry for all students and then extension for those who are ready for them. So the opportunities are there in that students can all engage in the same types of questions, but maybe take them to different, to different paths and extensions. So things like with the calculator, use of a calculator, you can look at different operations and choose your own numbers to make it true. Then the idea of patterning, which is really important in mathematics, is to see patterns that occur. That can be extended into tables and graphs and all sorts of relationships depending on what the patterns are like. So those are just 2 examples that you might find in the curriculum documents, especially if you're trying to look at the kinds of questions that your child might be doing in grade 9. So we're going to take the last portion of this presentation to answer any questions you might have in the Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we will get to them. And again, if the links aren't working for you, please let us know and we can certainly repost them. Questions? Okay. So if there's any clarifications you would like to have made, please let me know. But I definitely encourage you to look at the curriculum documents because they are quite extensive, especially for the grade 9 course. So someone wants to know about the AP courses for math. So I don't know much about the AP because my school did not offer AP. So that would be a school-based. So you'd have to look at the schools near you to see which ones do offer that. And it's the same thing with the IB program. So those are specialized programs. Not all schools offer that. And that's why they don't show up in the pathways chart, because they are specialized. I'm actually not sure. Did Earl?
Not for math.
Not for math. So some schools, see, the problem we don't know too is because some schools offer AP for certain subjects, but not necessarily math. So I wouldn't have that information at hand. Like I know the IB schools because there's only 2 of them, but I couldn't tell you who offers the AP math.
And some schools offer students the opportunity to write the exam, but they may not have a course associated with it. It could be done as a club.
Yeah, so those are very, like I said with before, like those are very specialized. So um, you would have to contact your local area schools and see what they have for that. And also what kind of program they have, right? Whether they actually offer the courses or if it's just the exams through a club. So if you have any questions about the pathways chart as you see them there, because I know I quickly went over it, then don't hesitate to ask. Well, if there's no more questions, then thank you for coming. And there's one more session after this one that I'll let you prepare for. or Brittany. Hello. Good evening. We're just going to wait for a little bit to see if other people get a chance to hop on to the last session. We're just going to wait just a couple of more minutes to see if there's more participants that are going to join us. Okay, so it looks like the number has, well, they're still coming, but you're welcome to come when you get here. I'm Esmeralda Fernandez, and we're going to be talking about mathematics in high school. And I am the secondary numeracy coach with Program Learning Innovations, and I'm joined with Patricia Clark, who is a Learning Hub teacher at Woodruff High School, and she also is a part-time coach, a part-time teacher and coach at Program and Learning Innovations. So I thought we would start by talking about the curriculum and where you can find it. So if you just Google mathematics curriculum grade 9, it will take you right to the grade 9 math curriculum. This is a new curriculum, fairly new curriculum that's been around for over 3 years, and it's quite extensive. So if you want to know what your child will be learning in grade 9, that would be the perfect place to start. We will be putting in links in the chat. And so if you, and it's because I know you're getting a lot of information tonight, and this way you can just click on the links, keep a tab open until you're ready to bookmark them, and then maybe have a bookmark to go to when you have a bit more time to peruse all of these links. So one of them will be the grade 9's math curriculum. There will be another link that we're going to put on that is the continuum of learning. So it's the alignment chart for grade 7, 8, and 9. And that shows you the progression of learning that your child would be going through from 7, 8, and 9. It's a way for teachers to help address any gaps in learning, but it's also for the child to feel like there is just a continuation going into grade 9. This would be the high school math pathway. There was one more thing I wanted to mention. Oh, right here. I didn't know what happened to that slide. It seemed to be missing. So in order to also know what kind of course your child is taking, because you will have to fill out a course request, all the math courses start with an M. So the first letter usually designates the subject that they're taking. So M is for mathematics. And then the next 2 letters will change depending on the course. For grade 9, it is TH, so for mathematics. And then the 1 designates the grade. So grade 9 is 1, 2 is 10, 3 is 11, and 4 is 12. And the W is a new designation because it is a new course and a new curriculum. But other courses will have different letters at the end. And you'll see that in the alignment chart or in the pathways chart. So which is right here. So this is the mathematics pathways. So all students take grade 9 math, and then they go into grade 10 math. And the idea behind grade 9 and 10 is that students after 2 years of high school get to choose which courses they will take in grade 11, which will then lead to certain grade 12 courses. And that is based on choice for post-secondary pursuits, academic pursuits, or career pursuits. So the grade 9 course, if you go into the curriculum, you will find that it is very much aligned with the elementary curriculum in that they have the same strands. There's just slight changes, but it really is a continuation of learning. And the strands do fit quite nicely with the grades 1 to 8 curriculum. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A. Oh, de-streamed. Yeah, so there was a de-streamed, and de-stream means inclusive to all students. So de-streamed is what they have in elementary school. So it means that they haven't chosen pathways in grade 9 and 10 yet until grade 11. Then that's when they're streamed based on the pathways that they are choosing. So it's at the grade 10 level. So after 2 years of math learning that they get to choose for grade 11 based on where they think they're going to be post-secondary. So the overall aim of grade 9 and 10 mathematics courses are to ensure that all students can access any secondary mathematics course they need in order to pursue for future studies and careers that are of interest to them. So it just ensures that all students have the same opportunities going into grade 11. So when you look at the grade 11, there is the 3U, which is a university level math, and then that would lead directly into the advanced functions, or doesn't have to be both, data management, and then the advanced functions course is needed to take the calculus and vectors course. If they choose the 3M course, you'll notice that the 3M is actually university and college math because it has both pathways. From the 3M, they can take the data management course, which is a university level entrance course. The difference between just taking the data management to taking the calculus and vectors is really based on what math program they have to take in university. So if it's a very heavy math-based program like engineering, computer science, physics, chemistry, they would need the calculus and vectors because they would be taking a calculus course in first year. And so it would be best for them to take that pathway. If they're interested in college, then they have multiple ways to get there. They can take the 3M into the MCT4C. And of course, with the 3M, they can take any of the college courses. So they can take anything, even if the arrows are not pointing to them, anything below the one that is directly attached to it. And then the college level courses, so 3C, 4C would have the college pathway, and then 3E and 4E is called workplace math. And they would still be credits that would allow them to get the minimum of 3 math credits to graduate with a diploma. So here I have just 2 sample questions that they would find in the curriculum documents for grade 9, and just to show the accommodation for a variety of learners that enter the grade 9 program. So the first one is one that I just took directly from the curriculum document, and it's the idea of investigating operations, exponents, multiplication, division, and powers, and to play around with different numbers, which is an entry point for all students, and especially with the aid of a calculator. And they tend to do more of these questions to try and make the equations work than if you just give them a worksheet where they just practice a whole bunch of calculations. So it is accessible, and they can certainly look for patterns. They can look for all sorts of connections between powers and operations. And the second one is a different type of question that deals with looking for patterns, and they're visual, and they try to connect that to some kind of equation, and you can extend that to graphs and relations and all sorts of math connections. So accessible to all, and you can certainly extend them for those who need an extension. So in the last few minutes, we will take up any questions that you might have. If you put them in the Q&A, then we can address them directly. If you want clarification on anything that you saw, please don't hesitate to ask. So you should have in the links in the chat, you should have the link to the curriculum. You should also have the 7, 8, 9 continuum, the alignment chart. And you also have the grade 9 math guide. So there was a question about, will someone help choose our courses in regards to our university goal? So absolutely, every school has a guidance department. So the guidance counselors are the people that you would talk to help with course selection and even just timetabling and all those kinds of decisions. So students are assigned to a particular guidance counselor, and many schools, they try and keep the same guidance counselor throughout the 4 years, if it's possible. It's not always possible, but that's what they try and do so that they get to know the students a little bit better and help them, guide them through the 4 years. Any other questions before we end the night? So I would welcome you to click on those links and maybe bookmark them. And then if you are trying to help your child navigate grade 9 math, I would recommend you open up the grade 9 curriculum and look through the content that's there. And then also maybe reflect on any questions or issues they have with grade 7 and 8 math. And if those topics are of difficulty, then maybe start helping them with that as well. So there's a question, can you take multiple math courses in a year? And the answer is yes. In grade 9 and 10, the courses are pretty much prescriptive in terms of what they have to take from the different areas at school. There are some students, for example, once they get to grade 11 and they know that they want to take all the university level maths, they might choose to take the grade 11 university math in the first semester, data management in the second. That's usually how it would go. And then the advanced functions first semester in grade 12, and then calculus and vectors in the second. So they would be taking in grade 12, if they are taking the advanced functions and calculus, they would definitely be taking 2 for sure that year anyway. But grade 9 and 10, generally, they have lots of courses that they have to take from different areas. So there isn't the same kind of flexibility. But in grade 11, that's when instead of taking a spare, they would sometimes do that. And there was a hand raised, but if you could put the question, because we don't have those options, if you could put the question in the Q&A, then we can respond to that. Okay. Okay, so we'll put the links in again. I think it might be just when you entered the meet. So they'll be put in again because we put them there because I know they're useful, especially having taught the grade 9 quite a bit. They're quite detailed, so for parents, they are useful to look at. Oops.
Is that a question? Or is there a difference in curriculum across various schools?
So various schools officially, there is no difference in curriculum because the curriculum comes from the ministry, which is an Ontario government, and we all have the same curriculum. This is why we're putting in the link so that you know exactly what's in the curriculum. If you feel that there are things that your child is taking that is not in that curriculum, then that would be a conversation to have with the teacher and the school, for sure.
How many math teachers are there?
There are a lot of math teachers. So at some schools, there can be 12 or more, and other schools there might be 2. So, and there are many that are part-time, so it's hard to say the exact number, but there are many, many math teachers. Yeah, so there are lots. And depending on the school and the size of the population, it'll vary depending on how many part-time teachers there are. That will add to the number. There are many LTOs, which are the long-term occasional teachers as well, taking over for other people that might be gone for extended time. So it's hard to give a number, but there are many, many, many. And that's why there will be variety in interpretation of curriculum. But the curriculum documents are legal documents and they are public and everyone can read them. So thank you for your questions and for coming. And I think there's going to be some closing remarks up until 9 o'clock. So I hope that this was informative and I wish you all the best in choosing for your child. So good evening.